Cost of living is so high that it's getting some people to rethink the entire system and how everything works. So we're going to talk about that in today's video with a bunch of videos. But before we get into that, I want to let you guys know about 87% of you are not yet subscribed to the channel. And if you find yourself coming back, please hit that subscribe button. Really would help out the channel. And with that being said, let's get into it today.
Does anybody else remember, like, when they were back in high school, that like everybody's goal for the most part was to make 100 grand, and if you made 100 grand, you were financially free, or you were doing very well, and like you wouldn't really have any problems. You could live comfortably. That was what, 15 years ago? Now you have to make at least 200 grand to live comfortably. And buy comfortably, meaning like buy things that you want, go shopping here or there when you want, not buy like expensive like Chanel handbags or like expensive jewelry. Just like be able to go shopping when you want, be able to get your hair done when you want, get your nails done professionally when you want, and go to the grocery store. I remember going to the grocery store like even right after college and just throwing whatever I wanted into the cart. When I was growing up with my parents, we just threw whatever we wanted in the cart. No one looked at prices. And now the way America has shifted is so sad to me. Like, I see people on here all the time complaining, not complaining for obvious reasons. I'm complaining too. That like you go to the grocery store, I look at every price now. I never used to look at prices ever. And like I don't just throw shit into my cart anymore. Like I'm looking at the prices, and it's so baffling. Not to mention like going on vacations. Like when I was growing up, we were going on a vacation at least once a year, like a family vacation. And now that I have my own family, we both work, and our schedules are like very time consuming, and we have a daughter in private school, and her vacation period is different than our schedules. Just to coordinate alone would be hard as hell. And then to plan a vacation for a week, like what, probably 20 grand?
Now, some people might think she's a little bit out of touch because to have the luxury of not looking at prices at all at the grocery store is something that a lot of people don't ever really go through. But she is somewhat right about the fact that 100K doesn't seem to really cut anymore. 100K used to be really good for an entire family. Now 100K, if you're living in expensive cities like Toronto, that's not going to support an entire family.
To five grind. Corporate America was not designed, not even 1,000 years ago, not even, barely even 100 years ago. You need to understand that the 9 to 5, the Industrial Revolution is what really kind of made this a thing in the late 1800s. And you're telling me that all of a sudden that this solidifies what the human race is going to look like for eternity? No, it's not. We evolve, we adapt. And I do not see this continuing hundreds of years without us completely burning out. There is dozens and dozens of videos that I see of people, I don't want to work, I'm so done with this, I hate working to live. And everyone's just like, you're lazy, you don't even want to work, this generation is so lazy. We're not lazy, we're just realizing this facade that was created so that the big corporations and the big men and the Industrial Revolution can stay a thing, when that doesn't need to be the case. And everyone keeps saying, oh, I need to do something like, and I always see in the comments, oh, I want to just run away and just have a group of people and buy land and just live off the land. Is anyone doing it? No. I mean, I am. That is my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to have an eco-village. It's going to be that the expenses to live within this eco-village is slim to none. You don't have to have a full-time job in order to be there, but you can still save up monies for your own endeavors. It is simply a community of eco-village homes that are unique. They're not copy-paste. They're not townhomes fucking glued together. They are unique, different types of recycled materials homes with solar panels, using wells, using rainwater for gardening systems. That is what my ultimate goal is in this life, to have that, to have hundreds, if not thousands of people in this community that they don't have to work because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to work, but only if you find fulfillment and purpose in that thing. Not saying that we don't need some jobs. We need doctors. What causes the industries to flourish is the over-consumerism that is occurring. We don't need fast food places. Get rid of all of them. It's junk. We don't need it. We don't need it for a second. We don't need all of these places. All we need is like a cup, like clothing, food, and like that's if you're not sourcing your own food. I'm not going to start making my own clothing, but if we all collectively decide, okay, we're going to move towards a more eco economy. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be a part of this, but just enough of us need to do something. It needs to be a revolution.
She's kind of right in the fact that maybe we should be eating less fast food, especially with the prices of fast food nowadays. But she also has more of a utopian idealism about the way that we should be gathering society. And I don't know if I 100% agree with her on that, but it is causing people to think this way, right? When you have the cost of living being as high as it is, people start having their own weird ideas about the way the future should be and how people shouldn't really work. They should only work if they want to and stuff. And that might actually be something that does happen in the future with AI and robotics. We could be in a situation where what are we going to do with our time? A lot of people are not going to have the ability to work or the need to work. So what do we do to pass our time? How do we find fulfillment?
I'm not one to get political, but the cost of living crisis is getting out of control, and it didn't really hit me until I came to my local barber in Campsie where haircuts are now $10. I've been getting my fade here from a lovely Chinaman since they were $7 haircuts, and I copped the price increase to $8 in 2022, but since then the price has skyrocketed from $9 haircuts to now $10 haircuts in 2025. With the election on this year, our vote done, and if you want to get my vote, how about we address the cost of living for Aussies and the cost of a fade here in Sydney, because $10 for a haircut is outrageous. Back to you in the studio.
I don't know about you, but $10 haircuts is ridiculously low. I remember having $10 haircuts in Toronto in like 2015, but now haircuts, even the cheapest haircuts, are like $15 where I live, and a lot of the time you're spending between $20 to $25 easily on a haircut. If you want like a nice fade or maybe a more popular haircut and make you look a little more trendy, then it's probably closer to $30.
Rachel has been renting for 28 years after fleeing domestic violence with 3 children under 5.
So many people, they just want to stop and lay roots, and we're tired, Sarah. We're tired of moving constantly, and we want our children to build a foundation.
She's experienced homelessness, living in a caravan, granny flat and moving in with friends.
I represent people like nurses, teachers, everyday Australians.
In Sydney, a person earning $70,000 has to spend 65% of their income on rent. At $100,000, almost half their income on rent, and is still in rental stress, earning $130,000 annually.
You would think that the results of this snapshot would be better because we're looking at people who are on middle to high income earners, but in fact what we found is that they're still struggling.
Elsewhere across the state, all households earning $70,000 are in rental stress. And with an income of $100,000, rents in the Blue Mountains and North and South Coast are still considered unaffordable.
That's what we were saying. $100,000 still is not much to live off of now in 2025. In fact, if you have a family, you're going to be left with little to nothing at the end of the day after groceries and all the other expenses.
You're in loser land. If you're from Canada, you're in the land of lose. And I'll tell you what I mean. It means that the system has designed it for you to be a loser. You can't beat the system. We got the taxes and the weird wooksters and whatnot, but I've devised a plan on how to stop losing. I've devised a plan. We're going to get out of slavery here. So basically, what you do is you admit that you're in loser land. If you can say, yeah, the system is designed for me to lose, that's first step one. Step number one. Next is you got to say, I'm going to make a change. So that there is step 2, that is called action. Now, my action, I can tell you, this is what I did. I came to the country of Ecuador, and I came here because I have buying power. So every dollar I have in Canada, I have 5 times the buying power. So if I got $100, I got $500 here. If I got 100,000, I got $500,000. If I got $1 million, I got $5 million. So now I have buying power, and I can start to actually live a life, which is pretty bloody great.
And there's a lot of people doing that. In our last video, we were talking about people fleeing Canada, and this is an individual in that exact same situation. You have a lot more buying power in other countries. In fact, one of the countries a lot of Canadians are fleeing to is Costa Rica, but now it's actually causing the prices to go up like crazy. We have a couple we're friends with here in Calgary, and they're also considering moving to Nicaragua because the property values there are so cheap compared to even places like Calgary.
This explains why Canadians have never felt so poor. Canada is the per capita economic growth laggard for the last 10 years. Look at this. 0.5% annualized GDP growth per capita. Look at all the other countries. This is absolutely pathetic. Look at the United States. This is because of our government and their horrific policies around immigration, around our economy, around investing in innovation, around how we treat capital gains and try to bring in and attract business investment. This speaks to all of the failed strategies and plays that this government has deployed. It has been a total disaster. And that is why Canadians have never felt so poor. High taxes, services that are failing us, an economy that is failing us. We've had 8 quarters of negative GDP per capita growth. This government, what they've done is bring in 5 million people over the last 5 or 6 years to boost gross GDP growth, to make it look like we're doing okay, but we are not doing okay. Every single person in Canada has gotten poorer in comparison to every other country here. And considering we are neighbors to the United States, I think this is the biggest missed opportunity in the G20. Our government has totally fumbled the ball, and we need to hold them accountable because this is unacceptable.
8 quarters of negative GDP. That, in general, that fact is crazy. And that's why people in Canada feel so poor. That is why the cost of living is so ridiculous in Canada, because a lot of Canada's economy is just based on housing. Housing is like the biggest portion of the economy in Canada, and you can't have a country like that, especially because it leads to homelessness, drug abuse, and people ultimately wanting to leave the country, the most productive people. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.